Welcome back. Okay, we're on the last step of doing the WooCommerce settings. And so we're just going to click on the emails tab. So as long as you're in WooCommerce settings and emails tab while you're in the back end, you're going to be coming to this page. Now this is all of the email notification settings that you're going to be having. Now there's a whole bunch of custom ones here, the subscription ones that have come in from the template, but for the most part, these ones up to new account, these ones are default with WooCommerce. Okay, I'm going to show you what we need to do to make the settings that we have to, turn on and off ones that we don't want, and go from there. So I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom of the same page. So email sender options, the from name, this is the name that they see in their email when it's listed. So you want this one there, or you can change it to a different name. Whatever your brand name is, you can put that there, as well as the from address. Now this is the address as it appears to them. You can change this to say no reply, right? It's still going to come from info at, because that's the email that we actually set up, but the from address is going to look like it's coming from no reply, or say no dash reply. It just lets the customer know not to reply to that email. But either way, you can leave it info at or no reply, whatever you want to do there. Okay, the header image. This is the image that sits at the top of the email. Now, if you remember the email that I had gotten from when we did that test order, it didn't have any images. So that's the first thing that we want to add. Of course, you can hover your mouse over and you can see where kind of gives you a hint on what to do. We can go up to media on the left side here and go to library. I'm going to right click on it, open it in a new tab so we can quickly go back, and we can just use this logo as an example. Now keep in mind, you might have different logos for different things, and they might be different sizes. Like this is 319 pixels by 75, and it's an ugly logo. I mean, like I said, this has only been just for showing how to do this thing, but you might have a different logo for the email that maybe it's a bit smaller or it's a different color. But anyways, that's what I'm going to put there. Okay, so that's the thing I'm putting there. Okay, and this is in the bottom of the email. So, you know, it has this here, powered by WooCommerce, whatever. You can do your own footer here, like, you know, 2017. You know, whatever you want to put in the footer, the bottom. Now here's the base color. This is the base accent color of the thing. So obviously if we're not using purple as our color, but we're using more of this sort of a greeny, sort of green color as our base, for an example. I don't know if that's going to look good, but just to show you, the background can be white. Now, if you want to keep it more neutral, you can always do more of a gray. So if you don't want to have some really, you know, bold color there, you can always slide it over to where it's more of a gray color and it's a little less bold. Okay, and I can't remember where we were at for color. I don't know why that's not. There we go. So there. Okay, and the body background color. So this is the main background color. This is the body. That's where the text is going to sit. So the background color is just slightly darker than the background color. That's what they have by default. And the text color, they're putting it as not completely black, but sort of just a darker gray color. So that's fine. We're going to save the changes on that. And scroll back down again. Now we can preview what it looks like. If I click on this, this is what the email would look like. Okay, so this is an example what it would look like receiving an email from us. Now maybe the white text on here, or this black text, doesn't necessarily work well, but they don't give us too many options. So be very careful around how you select the colors on here. So let's see if this would look good with maybe sort of a darker gray, and we can always test that and see how it looks. So you can have more of a neutral color. I can see it's washing out down here, so that might not be good. So you're gonna have to do some experimentation on what works well and what colors work well on this, because of the really they don't give you a whole lot of option to work with when it comes to this. So okay, so I'm just going to save it like that. Okay, now, so that's going to be, as an example, how our email is going to look like. Now, I'm sure that there are templates out, or not templates, but plugins and things that can help make your emails even better. But this is not too bad, because remember, when somebody gets an email, it's all it is just flat text with something in it. It's not your website. It's just basically an extension of your website. So each of these here are different emails, and they are triggered at different times. Like for instance, this email is triggered on a new order. This is triggered when an email is or when an order has been canceled, or if it failed, like when say somebody tries to buy something on PayPal and it doesn't work, and the order comes in as failed. And this is on order on hold. If you plan on putting an order on hold, you can do this, and I would probably disable this particular one, because we're not going to be putting any orders on hold, I don't think, or at least notifying customers that we're going to be doing that. So I'm going to uncheck that and save the changes. Okay, and we're just going to go back to the email section by clicking the tab up here, and now it's X'd out. Okay, so that means it's not going to be doing that particular notification anymore. And I'm just going to make sure everything else looks good. Now here we have recipient. So we're going to do a new order. We're going to go through this one as an example. So here's the recipient. Here's who's going to receive that. Now, if you don't want this email to receive it, you want, say, your personal one or different email address, you can change that. Customer does not see that. That's just where WooCommerce will send an email to when a new order comes in. Okay, now here's the subject. Now this here with the little code around it, it's called a short code, and there's only a few short codes that you can use, which they've kind of showed you here. The site title, so it'll be, Nuclear Learning or something like that. New customer order. Here's the order number that it's going to display there, and the date. You can change that to whatever you want. Like, you don't even need to put the site title in there if you don't want to. You can change that. Here's the email heading. That is the subject of the email, and the email type is it HTML, plain text. Most of the time, you probably want to do HTML, so it comes in nice. Okay, so if you're done making any changes here, you click Save Changes. Okay, the ones though that I'd be more worried about changing are not the ones that are going to you, but the ones that are going to a customer. So to do that, what we're going to do is just going to go down here and click on Processing Order. So this is the first one. So this is the email that a customer gets as soon as they've paid for something on PayPal. And so what we want to do is just click on it there. And click, so here we can enable or disable this notification. I obviously wouldn't want to disable this. You want your website to be emailing your customer when they've paid for something and it's successful. Otherwise, they might get a little bit of cold feet on that. This email subject, so your site title. So this site title is the one that's coming down from, if you go to Settings, General, your site title is here. So I've just opened it up. Your Nuclear Learning, so I just click back over here, your Nuclear Learning order receipt from order date. So you might want to leave that in there, but this little short code here, you might want to change it. So you can say, your .com order receipt. Okay, and you can even delete the order date, because that will probably be in the body of the email. And then the email header will be, you can change this to whatever you want. This is the what they normally see when they are scrolling through their email, and it's the first text that they see. So thank you for your order. So yeah, just change this to whatever you feel is that you like the best. A good way to do that is to see other orders that you've made online from websites and see which ones you like better than others. This is, creative. Be creative with it. Be fun with it. And so that's what you do here. Email type HTML, that's what I recommend doing, especially if you want to include your logo and things like that. If you're using the other systems like plain text, you might have some issues. So I would just keep it HTML. That's sort of a general default now for emails. Okay, and we're going to click Save Changes. Okay, there we go. So so if I made any changes here, I would just save them, right? And if we go back up to Emails tab at the top, we can just scroll through. So each one of these represents different touch points that an email would hit the customer. Go through them and make sure they're exactly how you like them. So completed order, so depending on how you run your store, you might want to do it where when processing is when they paid and completed, say, is when you've shipped it, for instance. So when you've shipped it, and you've set your order. So I'm just going to quickly go down to that. So we're going to go, so underneath the WooCommerce here, orders, here's the test email that was done, or the test order that was done. So I'm going to click on that order. Okay, and I can see that it was in the processing status, right, when it was paid. And we did this when we set up and tested the PayPal. If I say I'm shipping it now, I click completed. And I can click, you can even add a note to the customer, whatever you want to do, but you click completed and update. And as soon as you save that, let's click back here. We can go to this completed order email. Okay. It'll email them the information, right? And so if you put in here that your order is complete, it is being shipped to you, and then the email heading is your order complete and shipment is on the way, or whatever. So however you want to indicate that, and that would be done when your order status, when you've personally moved your order status to completed, and that would trigger this email. That's how I would use that functionality if you're going to do this completed order. Again, if you've refunded money to the customer. We're not using invoice functionality. So that's just basically manually, it says manually sent. So we're not using that functionality. Here's a customer note. So if you want to send them a particular note, you can do it here. So to create a note like your tracking number, maybe your customer note tracking number here, if you've shipped it, you can use this note field in the order and say, your shipment is on its way via USPS, tracking number, XX, whatever. Okay, and then you click note to customer and then add. What that will do is that will email the customer this information. Any private notes will only just go underneath this order notes thing, and it doesn't get sent to the customer. What the good thing about that is if you have more than one person working on orders and on the website and stuff like that, you can use that as a system of communication that, hey, I've packed this, or I've picked this, whatever you're going to do here, and you can use that to communicate to each other so you know where any one order is at without getting your customer involved in that communication. So so if I want to send that to the customer, click on that and click add, and boom, it will email the customer. And that is this customer notes feature one here. These ones are more automated. So if the customer requests to reset their password, this is all automated features. That's that one. New account to create it when they create a new account, that's the email they get. And you can go in there, like I said, and just change the stuff that you prefer. The rest of this stuff is custom. We're not doing any sort of subscription functionality in this, so I'm just going to ignore these emails. Nobody's going to be subscribing to anything. Okay, so I'm just going to go down here a little bit, and we talked about this already. We've loaded the image in here and the footer, changed the base color. So this is how we'd be receiving emails, and that is email settings in a nutshell. And so that actually concludes the whole entire settings for the WooCommerce eCommerce platform underneath WordPress. So on the next video, we're going to begin the actual design portion of each of the pages that we had set up and that we intended to create when we did our mind map. So that's the next video, and we'll see you on then.